I don't want to be treated like a slave. I want to be treated as a human being, and what's right is right, what's fair is fair.
What made you leave Atlantic and want this new situation here at Motown that you're at?
I left Atlanta because I wanted to experience some more stuff.
From Megan Thee Stallion speaking out about her label and saying she didn't want to be treated unfairly, just like a human being, to NBA YoungBoy finally leaving Atlantic after feeling boxed in creatively, artists have been pulling the curtain back on how rough the music business can really be. But one story that truly shocked fans goes way back and changed how people saw the industry forever. It starts in 1997 when a 14-year-old Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. signed with Cash Money Records, seeing label boss Birdman as a father figure. For years, everything looked solid on the surface. Lil Wayne went on to become one of the biggest names in hip-hop, dropping hit after hit and helping the label generate massive success. But behind closed doors, that close bond slowly started to fall apart. But things got even messier once the Young Money situation came into focus. Back in February 2003, Cash Money agreed to launch Young Money as a joint venture, with Wayne holding 49% and the label keeping 51%. On paper, it sounded fair enough, but according to Wayne, the reality was very different. Wayne later claimed the copyrights weren't split the way they were supposed to be. Instead, the material was reportedly registered under Cash Money alone, leaving Wayne feeling completely cut out of what he helped build. And this is where it really starts to raise eyebrows. Take Drake, for example. In 2009, Young Money signed him, and Wayne was expected to receive a share of the profits from Drake's success. But in legal filings, Wayne stated that he never received proper financial breakdowns tied to Drake's recordings, meaning he couldn't clearly track what he was owed from one of the biggest stars on the planet. The situation dragged on for years, filled with confusion, public rumors, and non-stop back and forth in court. After nearly 3 years of legal battles, everything finally wrapped up in June 2018. That settlement cleared the path for Wayne to release Thaw Carter 5 on his own later that year. But Wayne wasn't the only artist feeling trapped by a major deal. Another headline-making case came from a completely different label, and it shocked the industry just as hard. Enter Megan Thee Stallion and her public dispute with 1501 Certified Entertainment. This situation exposed how, even in the streaming era, young artists can still get caught in contracts that work against them. Megan signed with 1501 Certified Entertainment in 2018 at just 20 years old. The label, founded by former MLB player Carl Crawford, looked like a big opportunity at the time. Megan was still building her name through social media buzz and viral freestyles, and the deal felt like a major step forward. Things looked even better with the label's distribution partnership alongside 300 Entertainment. But as Megan's career skyrocketed, serious problems inside the contract started coming to light. Reports claim the label took large portions of her recording income, publishing, touring, and merchandise, giving them control over nearly every revenue stream she had. Here's the part that left fans stunned. Despite reportedly generating millions through streaming and reaching massive global numbers, Megan allegedly received only a small fraction of that money. Let that sink in. The artist creating the music was barely seeing the rewards of her own success. When Roc Nation stepped in to manage Megan in 2019 and tried to renegotiate her deal, things hit another wall fast. 1501 refused to budge and continued blocking releases, forcing the situation into the legal system. Courts had to step in multiple times just so Megan could release projects like her Sugar EP. Things got even more complicated when the label questioned whether projects like Something for the Hotties actually counted as albums under her contract. Instead, they labeled them as mixtapes, a move many saw as wordplay designed to stretch their control longer than expected. After years of non-stop stress, Megan and 1501 finally reached a confidential settlement in October 2023, allowing both sides to move on calmly. Megan wasted no time leveling up. By February 2024, she signed a new distribution deal with Warner Music Group and launched her own Hot Girl Productions. She got her freedom, but it came after years of pressure no artist should have to deal with, and Megan wasn't alone in this fight. Another major case involves one of the most prolific artists of the last decade, NBA YoungBoy and Atlantic Records. This situation exposed how labels can use fine print to keep artists locked in for as long as possible. NBA YoungBoy signed with Atlantic in late 2017 at a very young age, agreeing to deliver 5 studio albums in exchange for a large advance. At the time, it sounded life-changing. But by 2022, he had released well over a dozen projects and generated massive revenue, yet was still tied to the same deal. The label was accused of picking and choosing which projects counted, stretching the deal far longer while collecting revenue from every release. By 2022, NBA YoungBoy had reportedly passed 30 billion streams with more than 22 projects out, bringing in massive money for Atlantic. Still, because of how the deal was structured, he was said to be receiving only a small slice of what his work generated. Under the agreement, the label reportedly controlled his recordings, publishing, and took shares from music, touring, and merchandise, locking down nearly every income stream. Tensions peaked in February 2022 when YoungBoy publicly claimed the label was working against him. In a now-deleted post, he said one of his projects was removed from chart listings despite strong performance, which only added to his frustration. He also warned other artists, writing words to the effect of "don't sign to Atlantic," suggesting they wouldn't fully support artists who didn't fit a certain image. While those comments reflected his personal experience, critics pointed out the label had benefited heavily from the same image they later seemed hesitant to back. Earlier, in 2020, YoungBoy publicly asked for ownership of his recordings, even offering to deliver multiple albums in exchange. Atlantic reportedly declined. When renewal talks came up in 2022, he turned down a major offer, saying trust and integrity were missing. It's another clear example of how major labels often treat artists like products instead of people. And Atlantic Records wasn't done catching criticism just yet. Another artist stepped forward with a story that made a lot of heads turn. Lupe Fiasco versus Atlantic Records. Lupe's experience showed how labels can quietly use promotion as leverage to pressure artists into deals they don't want. He signed with Atlantic in 2005 with support from Jay-Z, and at first, everything looked smooth. His debut Food and Liquor dropped in 2006, earning Grammy attention, followed by The Cool in 2007, which reached gold status. But once success came, tension followed fast. After The Cool, Lupe said Atlantic leadership told him they couldn't promise full promotional support unless he agreed to a broader revenue-sharing deal. In plain terms, it felt like pressure to give up more control just to stay visible. Lupe refused, and that's when things started slowing down. His album Lasers, planned for 2009, didn't come out until 2011. Lupe later explained the delay came from the label holding things up unless he agreed to their terms. Fans even stepped in, organizing protests and launching petitions with tens of thousands of signatures just to get the music released. When Lasers finally dropped, Lupe said the label pushed more radio-friendly tracks while the music he truly wanted to share took a back seat. Then in 2012, another song release was reportedly blocked for not fitting the image the label wanted. Lupe even pointed to giving Bruno Mars the chart-topping hit Just the Way You Are as proof he could make pop records when needed. The real issue wasn't creativity, it was Atlantic's demand for ownership splits that leaned heavily in their favor. In a 2014 interview, Lupe said he felt like a third-class citizen at the label for refusing a 360-style deal, and by around 2009, he admitted he had mentally checked out. Even so, he still delivered multiple albums to fulfill his contract, including Lasers, Food and Liquor 2, and Tetsuo and Youth. By 2024, Lupe openly acknowledged that turning down the deal basically ended his mainstream push. After leaving Atlantic in 2015, he went independent through his own label, First and 15th, choosing freedom and creative control over industry pressure. His story proves that standing on principles can cost visibility, but it protects artistic integrity in the long run. And if you think label pressure is wild, wait until you hear about artists who say labels benefited from their work for decades. Let's rewind to the 90s for a legendary case. Machi versus Bad Boy Records. This is one of those early industry stories that set the tone for everything that followed. Machi, born Mason Betha, signed with Bad Boy in the mid-1990s and quickly became one of hip-hop's biggest stars. His debut album, Harlem World, dropped in 1997 and achieved massive success, with Machi appearing on era-defining hits alongside major names. His smooth, laid-back style influenced future stars for years. Years later, Mate realized just how costly that early decision was. He reportedly offered Diddy $2 million to buy back his publishing rights, 100 times what he originally received. But the offer was turned down. Let that really sink in. Mai was ready to pay an enormous amount just to reclaim control over his own work and still couldn't get it back. Tension between them had been quietly building for years, but it spilled into public view around 2020 when Mate spoke out online. In 2022, he released a song addressing his experiences, using it as a platform to criticize what he described as long-standing industry behavior. He accused leadership of promoting harmful cycles, surrounding themselves with unquestioning supporters, and creating environments where artists were treated unfairly. He even pointed to specific moments he felt reflected deeper issues within the system. Machi positioned himself as someone finally telling his side of the story, speaking up about what he witnessed and lived through at Bad Boy. Then, in 2023, things took an unexpected turn. Amid ongoing legal pressure, Diddy returned publishing rights to several Bad Boy artists, including Mahe. But there was still a catch. Machi does not fully control his master recordings, meaning the situation remains unfinished. His story highlights how young artists can give up their most valuable assets without fully understanding the long-term impact. Publishing may seem abstract early on, but years later, it can define financial freedom versus ongoing dependence. Waka Flocka signed with Warner Brothers Records around 2010, with Atlantic serving as a major imprint, right as his career exploded with his debut album, Flockavili. What started as a standard deal later expanded into a full 360-style agreement, meaning the label took a percentage from nearly every income stream: music sales, streaming, touring, merchandise, endorsements, and publishing. In deals like this, labels can reportedly claim the majority of revenue across the board, leaving artists with only a small slice after expenses are deducted. And those expenses, recording, marketing, visuals, and tour support, often come out of the artist's share first, adding even more pressure. For Waka, frustration built steadily over time. His second album, Flockaveli 2, was finished in 2013, but Atlantic showed little urgency in releasing it, leading to long delays. By April 2015, Waka publicly said he wanted out of the deal, claiming the label was holding his work back. Things boiled over later that year when Waka openly criticized the label online, accusing them of cutting corners, failing to invest properly, and treating artists like numbers instead of people. He demanded the chance to buy himself out, making it clear he felt trapped and unheard. One moment he shared really stuck with fans. After experiencing a serious personal incident early in his career, Waka said the label's main concern was whether he could still record, not how he was feeling. That moment summed up how disconnected the relationship had become. The licensing terms even reached into Waka's YouTube channel. Ads had been running since 2013, but he couldn't fully monetize it himself, pushing him to explore other genres like EDM just to keep income flowing. In interviews, Waka openly said he felt completely trapped by the system, explaining that major labels only show interest when an artist is actively buzzing. Once that momentum slows, support disappears fast. After spending a massive amount on legal fees, Waka finally cut ties with Atlantic in November 2016, announcing he was a free agent. But even then, the situation wasn't fully over. Warner still retained oversight of his catalog for many years after, proving how long these contracts can linger. The experience hit hard, but it also changed him. Since then, Waka has spoken openly about financial literacy and has become vocal about educating artists before they sign anything. His story shows that even when you escape a tough deal, labels can still profit from your work long after the relationship ends. Now let's switch gears to another artist who ran into serious issues, but with a different type of label. Moving away from major corporations and into boutique imprints, Lil Uzi Vert's situation with Generation Now proves smaller labels can be just as complicated. Lil Uzi Vert signed with Generation Now in the mid-2000s, a label founded by DJ Drama and Don Cannon in partnership with Atlantic Records. Early on, everything looked promising. Uzi dropped Love Is Rage in 2015 and quickly became one of hip-hop's most exciting new voices. The tension around Love Is Rage 2 pushed everything into the spotlight. Uzi openly criticized DJ Drama, saying the label leadership didn't understand the current wave, while Drama fired back that the project simply wasn't ready. Uzi, however, kept insisting the real issue was constant delays and blocked releases. Behind the scenes, the money side only made things worse. Reports claimed Uzi was receiving roughly 20% of revenue after producer fees, features, and label deductions for his massive hit XO Tour Lift 3. Some estimates suggested he earned under $1 million from a multi-million-dollar total, with the majority staying with the label. For one of the biggest songs of the decade, that shocked a lot of fans. The situation grew messier when other artists spoke up too. In early 2019, Nav removed Uzi's verse from Bad Habits, claiming the feature wasn't approved in time. Generation Now denied blocking it, but by then, questions were already spreading fast. Everything hit a breaking point in January 2019 when Uzi announced he was stepping away from music at just 24 years old. He cited years of frustration, stalled releases, and feeling trapped in his deal, warning younger artists to be careful with subsidiary labels. His post made it clear he was desperately trying to find a way forward. Rumors and personal tension only added fuel, making the situation feel even more chaotic. The real turning point came in March 2019, when Uzi joined Roc Nation for management. That move helped him renegotiate terms and finally move ahead. By 2024, things appeared calmer on the surface. Lil Uzi Vert released Eternal Atake 2 through Generation Now and Atlantic, signaling that the relationship had stabilized under improved terms. Still, those years of public tension and stalled releases clearly slowed his momentum during what should have been his prime growth period. Now, while the next story didn't explode online the same way, the financial fallout was just as serious. Enter Tyga and his time under Young Money and Cash Money. Earlier, we talked about Lil Wayne's issues with that system, and Tyga's experience shows how fast a dream situation can turn sideways. Tyga signed with Young Money, a Cash Money imprint, in late 2008 when he was barely out of his teens. He was touring with Lil Wayne, recording music, and living what looked like a perfect breakout moment. When the contract came, he didn't hesitate. In a later interview, Tyga admitted, "I signed, I didn't even think twice." Here's where things started going left. The deal reportedly came with no upfront payment, and the lawyer handling it also represented the label. That overlap raised serious concerns later, because the person meant to protect Tyga's interests was tied to the other side too. Despite releasing massive hits like Rack City, Faded, and other chart toppers, Tyga later said he never received royalty payments from those songs. Let that sink in. Music that dominated radio and clubs worldwide wasn't paying the artist behind it. He literally had to pay just to walk away. That's how upside down some of these contracts can be. And the problems with Cash Money weren't just about money either. In 2014, Tyga publicly accused the label of blocking his album, The Gold Album, 18th Dynasty, refusing to release it while his frustration kept building. At one point, he even talked about putting it out himself. The project eventually dropped independently in 2015 through his own Last King's Music, with wider distribution following later. The legal drama escalated fast. Tyga sued Cash Money and Young Money for $10 million, claiming breach of contract and unpaid royalties tied to albums like Careless World and Hotel California. He also said a 2016 agreement meant to resolve royalty issues was ignored, with no payments ever showing up. But the label pushed back hard. Cash Money argued Tyga still owed money due to unrecouped advances, a common industry move that can block artists from collecting anything, even when royalties are disputed. By April 2019, Tyga dropped the lawsuit entirely with no public details about a settlement. The case closed quietly, but the financial damage was clear. After leaving Young Money, Tyga faced public money struggles before slowly bouncing back with independent success like Taste in 2019. Even Lil Wayne was reportedly unhappy about how Tyga's exit played out, showing how messy label politics can get, even among artists on the same team. This next case dives into Creation and her rough experience with Columbia Records, and it's a real eye-opener. Back in 2011, she was a 22-year-old rapper and director from Oakland when her self-made video for Gucci Gucci blew up online. The song pulled millions of views fast, cracked the Billboard Hot 100, and became a cultural moment thanks to its playful take on brand obsession. The buzz was so strong that Columbia signed her with a reported 7-figure advance. Sounds amazing, right? But here's the catch artists often don't hear clearly enough. Advances are loans, not free money. Every dollar has to be earned back through royalties before the artist sees anything else. Her debut album dropped in 2012, but it struggled commercially. With low sales, all the money spent on production, promotion, and marketing stayed on her books. That meant future earnings were already spoken for before they even existed. In 2014, Kreayshawn shared a screenshot showing she earned just 1 cent in royalties from the album. 1 cent for a major label release. By 2016, she revealed she was deep in debt and dealing with serious financial stress, including tax issues that froze her accounts during the holidays. She was later released from the label, and her music career slowed down fast. Then in 2020, Gucci started trending again during a nostalgia wave. Kreayshawn asked fans not to stream it, explaining she still didn't earn from the song and continued owing a large balance to the label. That's right. Nearly a decade later, the situation somehow got even worse. Kreayshawn revealed that her reported debt didn't shrink over time. It actually grew, climbing from around $350,000 to roughly $800,000. Then in October 2023, Gucci was officially certified platinum, meaning it crossed 1 million units. You'd think that milestone would finally move the needle, right? But instead, Kreayshawn shared her frustration online, questioning how a platinum record could still leave her buried under the same debt after more than 10 years. She pointed out how the numbers just weren't adding up, suggesting that others continued benefiting from her work while her balance never changed. That confusion sparked renewed conversations about so-called creative accounting in the music business. In the industry, labels often use complicated formulas, linking earnings across multiple projects and tracking expenses in ways artists can't easily follow. That means even when a song reaches massive success, the money may never reach the creator in a meaningful way. While Sony reportedly cleared debts for artists signed before 2000, newer situations like Kreayshawn's remain unresolved. Her story stands as a powerful warning about how a breakout hit can turn into a long-term financial trap instead of a reward. If this breakdown opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to see it. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.